Hi everyone, welcome to the Kate Confidential podcast. Today I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Katy Rickitt, television presenter who I've worked with over the last 10 years. And Katy and I know each other really well.
I was going to say, and your friend.
And your friend, definitely. So today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome and also about anxiety. So starting with imposter syndrome. So it's a real buzz topic at the moment. Lots of people are talking about it. And we know it's basically where you feel a fraud, but yet you shouldn't. So you may be sort of punching above your weight with something that you're doing, or you may be kind of striving for something within your career to try and better yourself, and you keep feeling like a fraud, like you're going to be found out, like someone's going to discover that you're not as good as you say you are. But the truth is, you actually are that good. You've got the evidence, you've got the CV to back it up. And you are good, so it's kind of that feeling of imposter. Tell me your experiences of that, Katy.
Imposter syndrome. So this is a new thing that you've brought to me, but I can identify with it on so many levels. So I think if I go back to the very start of my career, for example, I was really, really lucky to have got a traineeship with ITV, and there were thousands of people applied and 9 of us were selected. And I just remember my sort of jaw hitting the floor thinking, did I lie? Did I lie in that application? Why have I got this? I didn't lie, by the way. But I had this amazing opportunity. And I think what that meant is I went into the career feeling very privileged, like I had to prove myself. And for me, and I think for a lot of people, the easiest way to prove myself was to work harder than you could ever believe imaginable. So I was doing every extra shift that was even remotely offered, working about 20 odd hours a day, striving to be the best. And I think that's quite natural at the beginning of your career, but what I found, and I think a lot of people find, and this is where the actual imposter syndrome comes from, is that you don't quite get past that point. So you should at some point be able to say, I really do know what I'm doing now. I can, decide when's the time to stop, or, I don't have to do every extra shift that's offered to me. But I think people who are very conscientious, people who really care, that can almost turn into overwhelm because they're still trying to prove themselves 20 years into the job. So that, I would say, is my kind of thing with it. And that can drive you or it can destroy you, I think. And my husband, who's wonderful, he's given me a very good bit of advice. When I first started at Good Morning Britain, which was like the pinnacle of my career, I got this amazing job in national telly. Again, I was a bit like, oh my God, have I said something I shouldn't have done? Do they know who I am? Am I actually this good? And I was very stressed. And I was running myself ragged because that, again, was the only way I felt I could prove myself. And I remember my lovely husband, who's himself had, anxiety and overwhelm and that sort of thing, said to me, right, you have a little gremlin on your shoulder. We'll call him Cecil, so mine's Cecil, you can call yours whatever you want. Cecil is your doubts. Cecil is the things gnawing away at you, and he will do one of two things. He will either drive you to be incredible or he will destroy you, and that is in your hands. And he actually taught me how to go, I am where I am because of Cecil, because he makes me worry, he makes me over-conscientious, he pushes me forward, but the second I let him take over is when I start to flounder.
I think it's that point, isn't it, we said as well, where you worry so much, you think things are going to go wrong, but you never actually think, well, what if none of that actually happens? What if it goes right? What if the whole thing just works out the way it should? I mean, I've certainly seen this going from being a full-time employee in television and branching into the business world. So I'm now doing sort of videos for corporate companies. Everyone kind of, that you speak to is impressed by your background, and there's this really high expectation. And you do feel a sense of imposter syndrome. It's a new world that you're in, you've got to deliver. But I think, as you say, naturally, we're that kind of people anyway, that you naturally are conscientious. And actually, I think one of the signs of imposter syndrome is that people don't think that they're as good as they are, but actually they are exactly where they should be. If you're striving, you're kind of going into a new territory, which means you're progressing in your life. And actually those people that are kind of faking it till they make it are the real imposters. And they're the ones, because in a way they don't know what could go wrong. I mean, would you say that?
Yeah, I think, this makes me like almost sort of go, oh. The thought of blagging something comes so unnaturally to me, it actually makes me shiver. I've got a lot of respect for anyone who can blag something, but yeah, I think I mean, a classic example is you. I've worked with you. You are one of the best producers in the business. Like when we've gone out and done lives together, you have put every element of thought into that. And when you asked me for a review, I was like, where do I start and when does it ever end? Like you put my faith in you, and you are wonderful. And I think you definitely do have imposter syndrome, because you're the one person who will come back to me and say, was it enough? Is it okay? And yeah, they are. So I completely agree with you. I think they're the most conscientious people. They're the people who are driven by, whether it's insecurity, it's a real, you care so much that you do things better, 100%.
What do you think about men? Do you think men have it as much? Because I think the stats sort of suggest that it's more women. Yeah. But certainly people I've spoken to recently, I spoke to a CEO the other day. He said to me, absolutely, I've got imposter syndrome. He said, I don't think of myself as a CEO. Yes, I've got years and years of experience in this business, but I don't think of myself as a CEO. He said, it's only when I go to events where there are other CEOs and I realise I'm exactly like them, that I realise they're normal people and not some grand title. Do you think men experience imposter syndrome too?
Yes, and I just think they don't talk about it as much, which is the classic, isn't it? I mean, I don't know where those stats come from. They're probably tick this box if you think you've got imposter syndrome, and men won't admit it. And I think I'm finding this a lot, and I love the fact that men are starting to open up a bit more. I'm not going to put a big sweeping brush on it, because obviously there are women who clam up and there are men who talk openly. But I think we're finally getting to a point where men will talk about their mental health a bit more. And I actually think what's kind of terrifying is, like you say, there are blokes out there who probably have it worse than anyone else, but they're not going to sit here like me and you are and have a really open conversation about it. So yeah, they climb up. I've also met people in, head of police forces. What I actually find really interesting is when you interview someone and they come out with a lot of buzzwords and that sort of thing, and they've thought about this so much, and I think they're trying to hide their imposter syndrome with acronyms or buzzwords because they know that makes them sound official. And you'll have probably had this as well. What you really want, especially in something like telly, is for someone just to be open and honest. So I've sat people down and said, look, people don't understand the buzzwords of the fire service or the police force. Just be you. And that almost terrifies them, because they don't know how to be themselves. They only have this cover. And once you strip that cover down, they don't know who to be. And what I would say is a key bit of advice is the best person you can ever be is the best version of yourself, not a cover version of yourself.
I love that. And there's I find that a lot in the business world. People love the fact you're authentic. And I hate that word. That's an AI word, isn't it? But they love the fact you're genuine, you care, you're real. I've found that with a lot of my clients, like as soon as I get to them, they give me a hug. And it's like, that gone is the day of like shaking the hand, but that shows you've built that connection with them beforehand if they're, at that point of giving you a hug kind of thing when you first meet. I mean, it kind of, with the men's side of things, I think I do agree with you. I think it is perhaps equal, but it's so important that, those conversations are had, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you helped me into the industry as well, like into the national side of the industry. I'd worked in regional television for 10 years, but you helped me into the national side of things, because at the time you were wanting to sort of do slightly less when you're starting your business and so on. And I think at the time that was a bit of imposter syndrome, but I think I saw in you elements of me, and that kind of then grew me, I guess. And it is about being brave. And don't you find as well that, like, with imposter syndrome, a lot of it is preparation? I mean, I don't know if you've told people that in, interviewees and so on. It's not learning a script, but it's kind of just being prepared and thinking about what might go wrong and preparing for it. So you've almost thought it all through beforehand. I
think preparation is a massive juggling act. You need to not over-prepare. Actually, I'm going to rephrase that. There's ways of over-preparing which are conducive, and there are ways of over-preparing which aren't. So when I first started in news, I would write my script out to within an inch of its life, and I would try and regurgitate it. The problem with that is if you stumble across it, if you stumble on one word, you go, I've lost the whole train. The best thing to do now, I think, for me, is to read it through, memorise it, then drift off and almost try and say it as a human being. So you're actually just remembering little bullet points. Now that doesn't come from under-preparing, that actually comes from sort of over-preparing, because I will read like a brief to within an inch of its life, so I know everything, so I then go, right, what are the 6 things that really matter? Because I'm quite over-conscientious. But you can find that people will over-prepare to the point where they'll try and just memorise words, and that's sucking all the personality out of it. And it's weird, like talking to you, I've kind of realised one of the things that I think is really important is when I sort of had this thing at the beginning of my career, oh my God, what do they even see in me? I'm not that experienced. I actually think it's because and I remember a boss saying to me, they gave me a job as much because of my work as they did of seeing me sing a song with my mum on Facebook. Now that's quite unique because it was Good Morning Britain and we do quite fun stuff. But I think it's only taken me to get to 42 to realise that they probably liked the fact that I had a bit of a personality. And by the way, it's taken me a very long time to say that because I also don't give myself compliments and we're bad at that as well. And it is about sort of going, I'm not an imposter, I'm me, and what can I offer? And that might not be a tick box, it might be something slightly left field, but embrace it. Does that make sense?
And that's absolutely, it's so key, that personality side of it as well, isn't it? That you bring that warmth, that friendliness, that's what puts people at ease on camera, that's what gets people to open up. I mean, did you see imposter syndrome much within the television world, would you say, when it came to, I mean, we've both had lots of dealings with hundreds of high-profile people, so it's not singling anyone out, and certainly we're not going to name any names, but did you see elements of it with others? You know, I've certainly seen other people in television over the years who, when they're preparing, they're equally as nervous behind the scenes as those who, you know, perhaps are new to it.
100%, and they can often be the people who are very good. Like, again, I won't name any names, but I did an interview with a group of actors who were in a TV series, and the lead, who is somebody that a lot of people, really look up to, a very, very good actor, was riddled with anxiety. Didn't want to be questioned, had only set questions I could ask, and I felt really sorry for them because I was thinking that's such a shame, but that will also potentially be part of what makes them brilliant because they care so much. What they possibly need to do is find a middle ground. But yes, you'll find that the people you least expect, who put themselves out there in a very different, because this person as well put themselves out on social media as being extremely confident. And I think it's important for people to know that, because don't compare yourself to someone you don't really know.
I think absolutely equally so. I think there are some people that have got this kind of act that they put it on and it is, as you say, all for camera, and then they're not quite, they perhaps haven't got that background behind them, and we forget that. When you've got that depth of experience and that knowledge, you actually know a lot more than you think, you kind of thing. You almost forget what you actually know, like the simple things. It's only when people do things and you think, oh, I would have known to have done that, but that's those years and years and years of experience. I think it leads on quite nicely to kind of anxiety and talking about that side of things. I mean, sort of going into a new business, as I've done recently, that's really tested me, and I've been overwhelmed with interest and with clients, which has been amazing and wonderful, and I'm really, really incredibly grateful for it. But equally, it's been overwhelming. It's been sort of challenging, I would say, to manage. Certainly time is not my friend at all at the moment. But I know, like, both of us...
You're too busy.
Oh, no, I don't mean it like that. But both of us talk about anxiety. And equally, we both said we have similar dreams, don't we? Tell me about your dreams.
Oh my goodness. This is a dream that I don't think I will ever shake in my entire life. I'm going into an exam and I've done nothing. And by the way, that's never happened because I was obsessive about revision. Like, to the point of being terrified of an exam. Like, I would work my socks off for it. And this recurring dream is, I have an exam and I've done nothing. And you just said you had the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Underprepared.
Yeah,
the opposite of what you do.
Yeah, so I worked in radio for a number of years, and I always used to dream that I could hear the news jingle and I'm run into the newsroom, the news booth to record the news, and I've not prepared. I haven't got the scripts. So then I'm kind of looking on what we would call the wires in the industry, trying to wing it, trying to produce a bulletin as I go along. And I think, that is, some of that will be related to sort of having to talk to time and having to, you're obviously broadcasting to hundreds of thousands of people. I used to do hubbing, so it was lots of people. But I guess that's anxiety meets imposter syndrome a little bit as well.
Well, thinking you can't wing it, because that's the thing. We're preparers, so your biggest fear in life, or one of them, is that you've not prepared.
Yeah.
And actually, that's probably quite a healthy anxiety, because it's a case of you know, you shouldn't be unprepared. I think you can only be relaxed about something if you are prepared. So, but it is funny, isn't it, how that's almost like both of our biggest fears.
Yeah.
Talking about your new job, by the way, I think this is a really important thing. When we both sort of, I mean, we both still work in the industry, but we've also stepped aside to do other things as well. And I think one of the most terrifying things for me was learning who I was without that being my title.
Absolutely.
Because you suddenly go, who am I without that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely an imposter syndrome, because you need a title or a job role to make you who you are, and actually there's so many parts of you that are important.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely found that when I sort of decided to sort of step away from television on a permanent full-time basis. There was that. It was, as you've said before, it's such an integral part of me. It's what I'd always wanted to do. And I'd always, like you, run towards the fires, given 110% on every opportunity, and always been really ambitious and done well, really. You know, it sort of not luck, preparation, you work towards it, you work really hard. And yeah, to sort of step away from that was definitely a challenge, but equally, someone gave me some advice, you know, and I talked it through and went into the depths of that and what that meant. And they were like, but you can take all that with you, you know, you take all that sparkle with you. You're not just somebody who works in television, you know, you've got that energy, you've got that background, you've got that credibility, you've got that kind of all of those things you can take with you. And they also said to me, you know, if you did really well, like, imagine how well you'll do if you're doing it for yourself rather than for other people, you know, due to that hard work. And have you found that?
Yeah. Someone said something similar to me as well. I was like, well, who am I if I'm not Katy off the telly? And that's silly, because I never did it to be Katy off the telly. I did it because I love people and I love hearing their stories. And I was almost in my like mini meltdown. Oh, who am I? And you just have this sort of crisis of confidence. And then I realised that you take all that stuff away. Like, you know, when I'm in the bar now, I love people, and I'm extremely lucky in that my husband loves admin, which I don't. So he will do a lot of that sort of graft work and really leave me to be the front of house. I'm basically the Bet Lynch of Dexter Jones. Is that right person? Yeah. Peggy Mitchell. And for a while I kept thinking, but then I don't have to work myself to the bone for that. But that doesn't mean it's not an important job. And I suddenly thought, you know, I don't have to be killing myself to be proud of what I've done today. I've made someone's day today. I've given them a really nice party, or I've run an event that's gone really well. And actually, I've had a really wonderful time. And those things that I learned, you know, about being the sort of the chatty one and basically being me. That's, by the way, I've just said that, and I just thought that's a really nice thing. Isn't it lovely that you can have a job where you can just be yourself? And I think, yeah, you're right, that you don't need a tag, you don't need a job role, you don't need to, you are you, and what you really need to do is get to know what's good about yourself. And yeah, we've all got our pitfalls, and I can be an idiot at times, but, you know, you've got to celebrate the good bits of yourself.
Yeah, and equally, I think I completely agree with you. Like, the love of the job for me was the people, and I still get that in a different way. And that always, for me, was my favourite part of it. The television element was the sparkle, but it was the people. It was those stories, those depth of stories, those gritty stories, you know, human tragedy, those stories where they really grow you as a person, because you think, my goodness, this person has just been through this and they're behaving like this. I probably wouldn't even be able to get out of bed if I was in their scenario. And I guess it's that, isn't it? That it's that kind of, it grows you as a person. I imagine it's almost what, you know, a police liaison officer must feel like, you know, as you dip into people's lives, but equally you dip into people's lives in the positive elements as well. It's kind of, it just was really interesting, but it is those kind of people stories.
It's a huge privilege as well, and the fact that they are telling you what's happened. I always used to just sometimes come home and take a deep breath and think, how lucky am I that I get to meet so when you have like a positive story, I would think, how lucky am I that I'm the person that gets to hear this first. It's so wonderful, like being able to bring that out of someone. And then the harder ones, when someone's had a really horrible loss, you think, how privileged am I that they trust me? Absolutely. They trust me to tell their story. And that can be hard as well, because we all know when you're doing things like telly, it can often get whittled down to a much shorter piece. But then you and I know from when you've done it for a while, you learn the way to make sure that they get the best out of it. And then you can go away and say, well, at least I know that I've done my best to make sure that they get the right piece put out there.
Yeah, with the right kind of tone and what you
Yeah.
promise them, because we're that kind of people. Again, you know, sort of that conscientious person taking it all the way through. That kind of anxiety, I guess, is massively heightened within news, where you've had to kind of almost run towards the fire at times.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, how you separate anxiety with the job. You know, for example, I don't know, a terror attack or a live incident that's happening. Huge things we've both reported on in the last 20 years.
I think you almost sort of block them out while you're doing them, don't you? You throw yourself full pelt. I think if you sat and overthought things, you wouldn't go. So you go, and then you worry about it later. I think my experiences with that have been that I go and I completely switch my own side of things off and think, what is this person going through? How can I help them? But I have had situations where I've done that, and then 4 days later I remember being on having a day off after Manchester terror attack, and I met some incredible people who, quite frankly, have been through more than anyone should ever go through in their entire life, and you just focusing so hard on, I'm that privileged person who's speaking to you now, so I need to do right by you, and you think, you know, that's a massive responsibility. You can't let it overwhelm you at the time, you just do it. And then I remember being on the cross trainer and just suddenly screaming, like I was so angry with what had happened. How can that happen? How can something so horrible? And it crushes you suddenly. But you can't do that because you're not the important one at the time. So you put it aside, you get on with it, and then you have your moment when you're allowed it. And I think, you know, we're nothing really compared to like police and fire service and ambulance. I mean, they must go through this every single day, and I reckon that must be what it is. And I suppose it's probably why some of them end up suffering things like PTSD further down the line, because they'll just do it and then they'll go, do it now, think later.
Yeah, I absolutely can identify with that. I mean, I said, like, when I worked in radio many years ago, it was during the London bombings. I can remember being like live on air doing the news as they happened. And this moment of, the wires, the information that's coming through, I think we extended the bulletins. We were just on air, we were just talking, this information as it's coming through live. So you're reacting to it, you know, talking about nail bombs and talking about different locations where things are happening. And you almost distance yourself from the fact it's London. And it was on the way home that night where I just burst into tears while I was driving. So for me, it was quicker. But I just thought, my mum is not a million miles from there. She could have been there that day. And that, I don't mean that in a selfish way. It's an identification way, isn't it? It's where it suddenly becomes real and you almost take stock of it. And I can remember ringing he was my boyfriend at the time, now husband, Andy, and just having this meltdown and him being really good and kind of getting it. Because I don't know, like sometimes when you're in it, you need someone with a depth to get it, don't you? You can't just get over that, can you? You need to talk it through and talk it out, and it's talking it out again, isn't it? Yeah,
and sometimes it's really hard to process until you do that. So yeah, I mean, you're saying, Andy, like you're very lucky you've got a husband who will listen. I mean, Adam is great with me. I'm a big talker, and I think you are as well. I mean, we can be referred to as many things, but yeah, we are big chatterboxes. And I do think that's the only way to handle it. And I think that's when people really let anxiety overwhelm them, when they bottle it up.
And we talked about talking. There are other methods. So I've got one I want to run by you now, a little bit of a lighter one. So I was away with the girls recently, my girlfriend's 50th birthday party, and we were talking. One of them said, have you tried grounding? Now, have you heard of grounding?
No.
Okay, so grounding is, apparently I'm told, reliable information, that you kick your shoes off, kick your socks off, and you go out and you stand in the earth. So it can be grass or it can be, I don't know, woods. And you stand, you shut your eyes, and you just take a moment, and you almost feel like a tree, I guess, as if you're putting roots into the ground, foundations into the ground, and it's meant to just sort of put you at one again with earth. And I suppose in many ways it's a bit like that app I mentioned, where it's breathing, it's drink more water, it's taking that moment to be more mindful. Can you identify with that in any way, or do you think that's nonsense?
I don't think it's nonsense at all. I think if I tried to do that when someone called me to a job, I would just be thinking, I need to leave now. But I think there's a time and a place for it, and I think mindfulness it is, you know, deep breaths. I mean, what I would say is I've learned very much, you know, if something starts to make me feel I take a deep breath. But my lovely doggie, Tallulah, who we lost recently, she always used to get under my car when I wanted to go. Well, I needed to go on a job. She hated me leaving, so she'd run out the back door and lie under my front tyres. And I would get really stressed. And because I didn't want to wind her up, because she was quite a neurotic doggie, bless her, I would have to take a deep breath for her and go, "It's okay, I'm coming back." And that would help me put myself back into, I will be home later, I'll be back with her. So I suppose it's a similar sort of thing. Mine was forced upon me by a little chubby face. But
well, we've both lost pets recently, haven't we? I mean, they're so intuitive, aren't they? They know when you're stressed. They know when you're upset. Yeah, that's really interesting that she did that.
Bless her.
Okay, and I guess so we're talking, I guess, is key, and time.
Do you do the grounding thing?
No, I haven't. I think it's something the royals do as well. I think they like to
They've got a lot more time on their hands.
Yeah, they have got a lot more time on their hands, to be fair. But I think if you're really, in your downtime, if you can't sort of see the wood for the trees, you can't see a way out, it maybe is a method of just it's just a method of making you stop, isn't it? That's what it is. Yeah. It's a method of making you stop. I know somebody told me to get this app on my phone, and it gives you intentions of the day. Examples are: have a positive mindset, have fun, think more today, practice gratitude. I mean, that's a good one as well. Tell me one thing you're grateful for today.
Oh, I'm grateful for so much. Do you know what? I'm grateful for the lovely life I have now, because talking with you makes me realise that I have a really nice balance now. I run a business with my husband, who by some mad, lovely twist of fate, we get on very well together and we work nicely together. I have a lovely doggie who I absolutely adore, and we have a nice life that is pretty non-stressful, and I still get to dip in and do bits of telly as well. So I'm very grateful for a lot of things, but I think the most important things are, when you're having a bad day, I always think of family. I think, your doggies or your husband or your best friend or your mum or your dad, because, I'm not going to say it relies on a relationship, it absolutely doesn't, but the people and the animals around you, because they are wonderful. So yeah, gratitude is great, reminding yourself what lovely things you've got going on in your life.
Because I think that makes you stop and think, doesn't it, when people say that. I once saw this picture on social media where there was an earth that was full of stuff and an earth that had your family on it, and it was like, which one would you...
Oh my God, the family.
But a lot of people do chase stuff, don't they? Do you know what I mean? They think, and a lot of people, it's time as well, isn't it? They think, oh, it'll be better in a week once the kids are off school. Oh, it'll be better next year once I've paid that debt off. Oh, it'll be better, later in the summer when I'm having a holiday. And you almost miss the moment. You kind of miss those little things each day that you're grateful for. Looking around you, the fact that you're healthy and that you've got time, I guess.
And I think, you should make every day count. I think that is a really good way to frame your mind, is don't look forward to tomorrow or next week. Make today count. And if you're having a rubbish day, or you've got to do something you really don't want to do, just make the best of it. Don't try and rush it through, because we actually don't know when things can go wrong, and you've got to make the most of every single day. It was funny, actually, we were having this conversation about, and I'm probably not the best example, because I love nice food and stuff like that, and I think I'd rather live till I'm 65 and have a really fun life than just worry about what I'm putting in my body all the time. But there's a balance, isn't there? So I think you've got to decide which way you want to do it. But life can be short.
And just sort of finally, how is life for you at the moment? We haven't really mentioned Adam, have we? So obviously your lovely husband, Adam Rickitt, who's known for being on Coronation Street and Hollyoaks, among other things, and his amazing song that he did when he was younger, that he's now reinventing. I mean, how's life? Tell me about how things are.
Life is ace. So this is the nice thing. I can sit here now and say life is really good, and you know me, because I often come to you for a moan. I've had periods where I've not felt very confident in myself, and I've worried about decisions I've made. I would say things are really nice now. We run a lovely business, like I said. We have a really good time working together, and Adam is about to relaunch his singing career, and this is probably a big sort of testament to how far I've come, because one of the things that I picked up to try and deal with anxiety, because I was finding myself quite anxious, quite overwhelmed at times, is I took up dancing. And I am not a dancer. I mean, I did dance GCSE, but I basically have slightly ganky arms and I can't really straighten them out and stuff, and I always got bullied a bit by the people who were very good at dancing. And I went to Empower Dance, and their attitude is very much, you know, we support you whether you're brilliant or just enjoying it. And so when Adam got re-signed, he said to me, well, you're going to come and be my backing dancer. And I laughed, and he went, no, I'm serious.
Oh,
And I just thought, you know what, if he believes I can do it, I can do it. And I think finally, for the first time in my life, my attitude is very much that the people who matter will support me whether I mess it up or whether I do it really well. And the ones who want to take the mickey will take the mickey whether I'm good or rubbish. And I'm really, really excited about it. So that's something that we're looking forward to. And yeah, so I would say that I've learned a heck of a lot over the last 2 years. Basically, I hit 40 and had a bit of a midlife meltdown, which I think a lot of people do, where you go into this slump of questioning who you are, whether you've done enough, because it's a milestone. You know, we can't have kids, and we made a decision not to push that really far and, you know, get something like IVF. So you suddenly go, was that the right thing? And, you know, am I at the point I thought I would be at 40? Am I doing the job? Because I just sort of left Good Morning Britain, went in and started doing that more as a part-time thing, and went into the bar, and you question everything. And that takes me right back to imposter syndrome. I didn't know who I was 2 years ago. I hit 40 and I went, I don't know who Katy Rickitt is. I don't know who she is. And I would say now, along the line, I think I know exactly who I am. I'm doing the things I love for the right reasons. I will do jobs because I want to do them. And I will push myself when I feel comfortable doing it, not if it overwhelms me. And I think that sort of lesson only comes with the waves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Riding them.
Maturity, age, experience, all of it. But yeah, I completely agree. I think you sort of get to a point where you reflect, don't you? And sometimes it takes someone else to tell you those things as well. It takes, you know, an independent person or a
How many times have me and you given this advice to each other that we're not being able to take it ourselves?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing you need to remember is there'll be a lot of people listening to this who think, oh, I dish this advice out, but I don't take it myself. You will learn to. I think you do learn to. Do you think you take it better on yourself now?
Yeah, definitely. I think you know who you are, and you're brave, and you try and think, what if it goes right? What if I get it right? And then when you do get it right, it gives you more evidence that
that it can go right.
So just finally, just to drop it on you, I've got a quick fire quiz. Because we all know you're the quiz master.
But I haven't prepared. It's like that horrible dream.
No, it's not like the horrible dream, because you'll know the answers to these. So these are just quick fire questions. Okay, so someone claps when the plane lands.
Oh, God.
Do you immediately think, ugh? Or would you only do it if it's a rough landing, or would you join in?
Oh my goodness, all of the above. I'd join in because I felt for the person who did it, and I wouldn't want them to be on their own, but it would also make me cringe. Is that the right answer?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I think I'd join in too. Skinny jeans on men, criminal offence, depends who's wearing them, love it.
Depends who's wearing them.
Okay, I'm guessing with Adam,
Oh,
maybe?
Adam can get away with anything. But then I would say that I'm his wife.
Okay, pick one food, pizza, pasta, chips.
I can't eat pizza or pasta, so chips.
Okay, Indian or Chinese food?
Oh, Chinese.
Night out or night in, or depends on the mood. We all know you used to have your date nights. So out, chilled night in, or depends on the mood?
I'm going to say depends on the mood, because I love going out, but the older I've got, the more boring I am. And I do quite like just looking like an absolute freak of nature, wearing a dinosaur onesie and watching telly. But I also like to go out and get dressed up.
Okay, ideal drink. Cocktail, wine, gin, soft drink.
Do you know what? Because I drink gin probably too much, I'm going to say cocktail, because that's my treat vibe. Gin is my sort of way too often.
Okay, in a group chat, are you the planner, the ghost, or the chaos starter?
Oh, not the chaos starter. I can't stand chaos in a chat. It depends. If I'm heading the event, I'm the instigator. But I'm also a bit guilty of hating overwhelming group chats. They actually do make me a bit anxious, so I can be a bit of a ghoster and just go, I'm just going to slip out of this one because it's getting a bit intense.
Yeah, we've all got those. Right, your toxic trait. Do you overthink everything? Do you cancel last minute, or do you spend money like it's fake?
Oh, overthinker. Although I do spend money like it's fake as well.
Your biggest red flag in others, is it bad texting, rudeness to staff, or being obsessed with themselves?
Bad texting?
Yeah.
Say that again. Bad texting?
Rudeness to staff or being obsessed with themselves?
Rudeness to staff. You should never be rude to people who are just doing their job.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Do you believe in afterlife?
Yes.
What's the most annoying thing you do?
Oh! I'm trying to think of a list now. Wig, as Adam calls it. He calls me the wig out, as in I panic about stuff. I overthink things. I think that is probably my most annoying trait. And I can ask the same question a ridiculous amount of times because I don't believe the answer until it's been told to me 25 times.
If you were famous, obviously we know you are.
I'm not famous! I was wondering where this is going.
If you were famous, would it be for reality TV drama, being iconic online, or being actually talented?
I'd like to think it was for being actually talented, but you know, that's just the dream.
Pick a pet. This one's obvious. Dog, cat, or something random like a turtle.
Dog.
Okay, your vibe in 3 words. Oh, that's the hardest one.
That's so hard. Vibe in 3 words. Oh my gosh. Can you do this one for me?
Confident.
Okay. See, that's funny.
Deep, but in a nice way.
Oh.
And you light up a room.
Oh, bless you.
So they're not really 3 words, but that was a lot of words.
But you know what?
Say.
That takes us right back to what we've been talking about today, because I wouldn't say I was confident at all, because in here I'm still the imposter. But I'm glad that I managed to pull the wool over your eyes.
That's amazing. So thank you, Katie. It's been absolutely wonderful to talk to you, and I think it's been really insightful.
Thank you so much for having me. Did I pass?
Oh, 100%.
Well, it's been nice to chat anyway, and we'll do it without these next time.
Definitely. Over a cocktail.
Perfect.